Hi, and welcome back to Sidekicks, episode number 4, right, Kabin?
Think so.
I'm Chris, and this is Kabin, and we are the Sidekicks. Tonight's show has the topic, the question, what's up with God?
What's up with God?
Now, I just wanted to start out by saying that I'm one of those, I count myself among those few liberals that take God seriously. And although I don't necessarily take all concepts about God as seriously as other concepts, I do take the subject seriously, and I try to remain as informed as I can.
Well, that's wonderful. And I just want you to know that you have fallen into the typical trap that has been set up by the conservatives, especially the evangelical conservatives, who think that liberals are not religious at all. Matter of fact, we've even had our president quote that. I can't find the doggone quote, but I will find it, who's talked about the fact that liberals are not religious.
Huh.
So
you think I've had the wool pulled over my eyes, and I think I'm all by myself?
No,
huh?
yes, and I think that one of the things that we need to dispel on this Sidekicks show is that liberals can be religious and conservatives can be religious, and they're all screwed up.
And there's we have a lot of misconceptions I've been discovering about religion and about God and about ideas about God, and we sort of think we're the navel of the world, and we understand what the word means, and it turns out that we're going to look at the pie, how it breaks up.
There's a ton. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, the meat and potatoes, the dirt.
Do the moment of Zen.
We're going to do our moment of Zen.
Okay.
All right. And
let's bring in that music.
In every Sidekicks show, we have a moment of Zen, and the moment of Zen is where we bring up some of the words of deep thought that go into human beings who have thought about the human condition and share those moments with you from great thinkers. And then at the very end, we put a little cap on it, a little coda, with a couple of quotes from our leader, George W. Bush. So we will start our moment of Zen with the Canadian writer Robertson Davies in his book Conversations. All right? His quote is, his moment of Zen is, "A man who recognizes no God is probably placing an inordinate value on himself."
Yeah, that goes with the idea of do you believe in something higher than yourself?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So Ayn Rand wouldn't buy that, but Robertson Davies buys it, and I think that's good. All right, quote number 2, one I like the most. "God heals, and the doctor takes the fee." And that's Benjamin Franklin.
Whoa. Isn't he the guy who's an apple a day, keeps the doctor away? Did he really say that?
I don't know.
Okay.
We can look it up.
Yeah,
check it
we'll
out.
look that out.
Figure that one out.
Because they kind of go together somehow.
I kind of like
also,
that.
You need God, and you also need apples.
Yeah, that has
but of course, God makes apples, or something
makes apples.
for Benjamin Franklin, at least.
God made Benjamin Franklin. And so, and this is, to me, this was the one that is good thinking one. I really enjoy this one. "I do not feel obligated to believe that the same God who has endowed us with sense, reason, and intellect has intended us to forego their use."
Okay.
That's
well,
nice.
that's obvious.
That's
yeah,
Galileo.
All right.
Isn't that a great one?
Yeah.
That's terrific. So those are our 3 big thinkers, our 3 moments.
No, we have one more.
Yeah, well, we have our 2 from our president.
Oh, okay,
Those were the big, heavy thinkers, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Now we have the quotes concerning God from the leader of the free world, our president, your president, and my president, George W. Bush.
And I have no idea what you prepared.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for this? Okay.
He and I usually are pretty eye and eye. You know, me and Bush, we correspond.
It's good. I think that's very special. "I'm also mindful that men should never try to put words in God's mouth. I mean, we should never ascribe natural disasters or anything else to God. We are in no way, shape, or form should a human being Okay.
Finish it and I'll explain it.
Let me just. All right, wait. We are in no way, shape, or form should a human being play God. He got 3 gods in here. And
he got that one right.
He got that one right.
All right.
All right, that's good. That's George W. Bush. Now, here's the second quote from our good president. We can make a huge difference, a significant difference, in the lives of thousands of our fellow human beings. I want people to step back at some point in time and say, thank God for America and our generosity as lives were saved.
As lives were saved where?
Hell if I know.
Oh, maybe it was about New Orleans or something.
It was January
Were there any
29th,
lives
2003.
Okay.
I think that was just,
okay.
honestly, I think
I
that
don't
just
know.
came out of his mouth.
Mm.
I think that was his deep thought.
So there's our moment of Zen.
This is our moment of Zen, and ending with 2
Yeah.
truly remarkable moments of Zen
Yeah.
when you put them up against Robertson Davies, Benjamin Franklin, and Galileo.
Right.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's why God made alcohol for someone like me to drink after reading quotes like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moment of Zen. So now let's get into what the religions themselves. All right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I was sort of, I did a little research and then I sent you the material, and I was expecting to be able to say, America, Christianity is a small piece of the pie. There's billions of people out there that think a totally different way. And I found out I was wrong. There are a lot of Christians.
Yeah.
There are, according to the encyclopedia, currently, a 2006 count, 2.26 billion Christians. That's 33% of the Earth's population.
Wow.
They're Christian.
That's
Let's
heavy.
say they're Christian.
That's heavy.
However,
That's huge.
I just want to point out that a lot of these Christians would not consider each other to be Christian.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, because I have to say that in here is Roman Catholic, Protestant, Eastern Orthodoxy, but you also have Oriental Orthodoxy. I don't know what that is. You ever heard of it? It's not Eastern Orthodox. That's not what we're talking about. It's called Oriental Orthodoxy, Assyrians, and other Christians. This is beyond Protestant and Catholic and Eastern Orthodox, and even beyond Mormons. Okay, 350 million of them.
Wow.
So when you say, that there's 2.26 billion,
Right.
yeah, you have to, if you're a Christian, it's sort of incumbent upon you to go find out whether you think you really want.
These people.
I mean, my
to be
sister,
part-
who's an evangelical, would say, well, there's 30 Christians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I when I managed an apartment complex in Madison, Wisconsin, I remember so well. There was a couple that was there. They were.
I didn't mean to put down my sister, by the way. She's a sweet person. But
Yes,
yeah,
and we're going to
that's the way
talk
they
about
see it.
why
Okay,
she's such a
good.
sweet person.
Yeah,
Right?
she is.
When I was managing with my wife in Madison, 641 West Main Street apartments, there was this couple that were there. They were part of the Church of the Blood of the Holy Goat. And
Is that real? Is that real?
I'm really real.
Okay.
Okay. And I remember them saying that.
Because I wonder if they just misspelled ghost.
the blood of the Holy
Okay.
Goat.
Okay.
And I said, why?
Not a lamb. Okay.
The freaking goat. And so I said to her, and she said that the only people that are going to be inhabiting heaven are those 35 members of the church. They were the
real?
chosen.
Wow.
She
That's
was for
amazing.
real. And she's a Christian.
Mm.
So you're so right in saying that
Okay.
even though there's 33%.
That's
of the
amazing.
planet,
If that's
over
true, I
2
got to
billion.
look that up because that's just too
Church
weird to
of
be.
the blood
That is really
of
true.
the Holy Goat.
Okay. I think my sister would include probably several thousand people and not just 30.
Okay. She's that generous?
I don't know. I know that my brother-in-law went to a particular seminary and there was a very small, Anyway, let's break up the pie a little more. We've talked about Christianity there. I thought that there was going to be a whole bunch of Hindus and Buddhists. That's what I thought.
Yes.
And I also thought, another thing I thought was that Islam is probably neck and neck.
With Christianity.
Yeah, because I'd heard that it's the fastest growing
Right.
religion, Islam. So I thought, it's probably neck and neck. Nope, folks, it's got, Christianity's got 33% of the planet. Islam has 21%. So it's quite a bit smaller piece of the pie.
Wow.
Now about those the Hindus, this is funny. You'd think there'd be a ton of them.
Yeah, what?
There's about 1 billion of them, and almost all billion of them are in India. This is really funny. 900 million of the 1.2 billion or something like this
Are hanging out in India.
are in India.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't
No,
St. Thomas-
there's 1 billion Hindus, and 900 million of them are in India.
Wow. Now, didn't St. Thomas, the heretic, didn't St. Thomas travel to India and do some ministering there?
Yeah, you mean the apostle?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where he went.
Huh. Huh. Seems like he didn't. I mean, I wonder what the relationship is.
Well,
to
you
him.
know, I have to say, the Hindus believe that Jesus was an avatar. They believe he's the incarnation of Vishnu.
Gotcha.
So Christians don't have this
No, and
idea. They're
Christians-
much more syncretic.
Yeah, right, and Christians just think Hindus are all
Yeah, but
damned
it's
to
not.
hell.
It's not. It doesn't come from the other side. The other side thinks that you love them. As a matter of fact,
You're either with Jesus or you're with the
well,
terrorists.
somehow that message didn't get to India, because India is just so religiously liberal that you couldn't even get it through. Like the idea of damnation, you wouldn't be able to make them understand what that means.
That is why they're damned.
Because they're too dumb to be able to understand such a simple concept. Yeah.
And deservedly so.
Well, anyway, my master, I've told you, is Mayor Baba.
Mayor Baba.
And Mayor Baba went to a Catholic high school, born in a Jewish college, went to a Catholic school and a Catholic college. And all his disciples went to Catholic school, and they're really into Jesus.
Wow.
But they carry on the way. So, in a way, Christianity is very visible in India, but it's just sort of like seen as part of the fabric.
Now let me ask you, why do you think that Christianity?
No, Hinduism is so big in its thinking, it's able to just Jesus, like, come on in. Okay, we're still Hindu. We love Jesus too. Oh,
we're good with
yeah,
this.
it's
But
different.
tell me, why do you think that the Christian religion is doing such a bang-up job?
Yeah, I think it's because, and this is really interesting. You know how, part of, and this is different than other religions, I think, and I'm not an expert, but from just what I know, Christianity is unique, especially certain forms of Christianity, in that part of the creed of Christianity is to evangelize.
Yes.
To
spread
make
the
other
message.
people into Christians that weren't Christians before.
Right.
Now, they don't have that in Judaism. They don't have that in Hinduism.
Nope.
They don't have that in Buddhism.
I'm a Unitarian. We don't
They don't have that in Unitarianism.
We don't have any Unitarian missionaries. Do you know that?
That's
The only Unitarian missionaries that has ever been part of the Unitarian philosophy, I think, found at Lake Wobegon, which doesn't even exist. It's in Garrison Keillor's head.
Okay.
And so I think those are the only Unitarian missionaries that are out there.
Another one, and even Islam is not interested in making Christians into Muslims. There's not sending missionaries to the United States to convert us to Islam.
Right.
There
Like
might
we're
be
sending,
some.
like we actually send
I know that.
Jews
Right.
to Israel.
Right. So you have to go, is Christianity the biggest religion because it's the best religion? That would be kind of a non sequitur, because maybe it's because part of their religion is getting more people to be Christians.
It's to become more.
And sometimes at the end of a sword or maybe with a carrot, like some food.
Right.
Or something.
Right.
You know.
Right. Build a village. Make sure you bring the Bibles, and everybody
And some
becomes a
food.
Christian. And
Yeah.
food.
And feed
And
people.
you're good to go.
Yeah, but
So-
anyway, the Christians, there are wonderful Christians. We don't mean to put down Christianity. I wanted to emphasize that Mother Teresa and Saint Francis, and there were probably a couple other good ones too, right?
No, there are a couple.
Yeah.
There are a few,
Yeah.
but
Some of them
I guess
great Christians.
the way I see it is that
And Jesus was fantastic.
Christianity is wonderful religion as it is, as much good as it's brought, which I think has brought a tremendous amount of good. It is also, in the wrong hands, brought an unbelievable amount of evil and decimation to our society. I mean, more and bloodier wars have been fought in the name of Christianity than any other possible sort of sponsor as it would be. I was just watching the Crusades, you know, on PBS, and I mean, it's just unbelievable that here you have two groups of people, Muslims and Christians, that are just chopping each other's heads off, you know, in the name of God. I mean, I just wonder what God was doing while all these wars were taking place and all these lives were being lost in His name.
Well, I don't know. But that brings up the next topic. I was just going to mention that there were a lot less Buddhists than I thought.
Yep.
And there were
Which,
300, a third of a billion, about 376 million.
Okay.
They're kind of a small piece of the pie. And one other thing I thought was interesting, there are 10 to 100 million Falun Gong. Falun Gong?
Falun Gong.
Yeah, people belong to the Falun Gong religion in China, which only began in 1992.
That's pretty intense.
And that's like more than there are Jews. There are only 15 million Jews. There's more Falun Gong people than there are Jews.
And they were just in the news. I guess what was it? China has banned the practice of Falun Gong, and while Bush and the Chinese leader were talking, this one chick just spazzed out and she said, "Stop religious persecution of the Falun Gong."
I just barely saw that. I didn't read. I saw the headline. I didn't read the article.
Yeah, so kind of amazing to. Obviously, they have some sort of popularity, and they have some sort of appeal. What about Baha'i faith?
The Baha'i is really big, and I think aren't they into pushing their religion too? That's part of their religion. A lot of these fast-growing religions are keen on growing fast.
Well, I've met some Baha'is, and none of them were interested in. I had to push to get information.
Oh.
With
well, I
an
wonder why.
evangelical,
There are 7 million of them, and it's pretty big.
Yeah, I just remember, actually I met two of them, and they were both really calm, and I kind of had to press them for information. And I was just sitting over here at Panera, and this guy comes walking up to me, and I don't know who this cat was, but he just had this peaceful look on his face, and he sits down, and he starts to talk to me, and he brings up, and I'm so happy that I can teach my daughter about this personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Do you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ? And I felt like going, just have some shit blowing out of my stomach, this evil thing, because I didn't have any interest. I mean, and I'm trying to figure out why
really
is it
sad.
that I
It's
have
really
such a resistance to that whole thing.
Because it's really offensive.
Well, why is it offensive? I mean,
it's presumptuous, and it also there's a trait, and I wish there was maybe you know a word for it, and I just have a complicated phrase. When someone presupposes the objectivity of their own perspective, that's a lot of words, but I don't know this moment.
That's what that is.
Presupposing that their point of view is objective, which is the opposite of my point of view. Objective means it would look like that from any point of view.
Right.
But it's just presupposing this out of nowhere. And most people don't do that. That's right. I think it may be something. I don't understand. I mean, in other words, I just come to you and assume that you have another point of view, and that I'm interested in knowing what it is. Or maybe I'll find out I don't like it, and then I'll move away from it.
Or it's their.
I know that you have one.
Right. Or it's part of their mission statement, right? I mean, I went over to First Baptist of Springdale.
Yeah, they don't mean any harm. They're told to do this by their ministers.
I went to First Baptist of Springdale, and I remember looking around this. Have you seen that church? I mean,
which one? In Springdale?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been. I was a member. Not a member. I went a few times.
Right? It's simply unbelievable. It's like a city.
Yeah.
And so as you're exiting First Baptist of Springdale, there's a big sign as you are going out, and it says, "This is your mission field."
Right.
And so you're always sell, man. Always sell. Always sell.
Yeah. You can't say, oh, Christians are insensitive. They don't think of other people's feelings. They are indoctrinated to do that, and you have to realize that.
I don't have anything against it. I mean, I'm a liar. I do have something against it. I do have a little bit of a problem with it, and maybe it's the problem that they're right and I'm wrong. I mean, I look at so many of Denise's mom's friends, and they all belong to this group called the Navigators. And the Navigators are all about worldwide evangelism, and they've got people all over the world. As a matter of fact, Denise's parents were missionaries for 17 years. And the thing that I get that kind of bugs me a little bit is that I think sometimes some people might equate how devout they are as a Christian to their success. Like, and the most obvious example to that is one of the students. I mean, I've had so many students in my office.
That's been true for a while.
I know. I had a student in my office, and I loved her. She was very beautiful. She was very intelligent, but she was a complete and 100% believer that the Bible was inerrant. Jesus Christ was the only way into heaven, and her, as smart as she was, which was like maybe 100 IQ points smarter than her fiance, who she was engaged to, was to supplicate herself to her man. So whatever he said went, and there was just no questions about it. Now, here's the beautiful point. She, at 22, graduated from the university. She got her degree. She immediately got married to this guy who she dated pretty much him and him alone. Her boyfriend's, or her husband's dad, bought them a house worth about $400,000 on 10 acres of land behind the 100 acres of house that the parents own. And when I talked to her a year ago, she's as happy as a pig in slop. Everything is working for her. So in a way, when you take a look at that, you're like, well, her religion works, and I guess the answer is,
well, then you must, if you feel that that's her religion, you're a little superstitious about it or worried about it, because there's lots of. I'm a Mayor Baba follower. I know lots of rich Baba followers. I knew them when they were young, when they the ones that went to law school are rich. The ones that went to art school are poor. There's a lot of atheists that are rich. There's, especially. Also, I remember I was telling you, like, part of being Christian in America usually has something to do with being conservative. And so that usually means making fiscally conservative decisions, too. For instance, not marrying a whole bunch of people and having a whole lot of child support, not taking drugs, which are expensive, liquor, which is expensive, cigarettes, which are expensive.
So let's add up some of this. So you're not, so as a Christian
well, first
conservative.
Of all, very little dating.
Let's
put a lifelong dating budget of $50. All right. So there you've saved yourself,
including tips, because there's some nasty tippers. Okay. So let's
no, but how much did you save by not dating? Like, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. So okay. So let's say you got a whole dating lifetime of $50, and what's your booze bill?
Yeah, there's no booze bill.
There's no booze because you're not drinking.
Wow. Now, what about no pot bill? Nobody smokes
drugs?
I don't smoke pot, by the way.
Drugs?
I really don't.
Okay.
But they don't take drugs.
So there's zero with that.
Right.
So
cigarettes. Cigarettes are about, cigarettes right now are $4 a pack.
So
if you get the real brand, so that's $120 a month.
So $120 a month is normal. Okay, and for drugs, let's say you're spending, if you're a decent drug user, let's say you're using about $50 a month in drugs. Your booze, oh gee whiz.
$50 a month for drugs?
Yeah,
you're just been too long time, huh? We've been clean a little too long. Well,
let's say $200 a year.
Try child support
for booze.
Child
support. If you're getting married and divorced, you got kids that are walking. How much is that? What, $500?
Well, the guy in there, he's poor. He's paying $320. He said.
So $300 a month for child support.
And he doesn't. And that's not. He works here. I mean, he doesn't have much money.
Wow.
So that's a lot of money.
And so let's see, booze, drugs. What was this $120 a month? That was.
Another thing that liberals like is Harleys.
Harleys.
You don't need a $10,000 motor. You don't need $10,000 toys.
Let's put in another $300 for toys. So $300 for toys. All right. What was the other? I put $120 a month for something.
Probably your brothel bill is low.
I just put porno on there because
So living conservative is. Then also if you get married really soon, right after college, you get a job right away. You get a house right away.
You get a house, so you start getting
and
equity.
You start putting equity in, and then in 10 years you get a bigger house.
Right.
And things add up. If you, America is a very rich country, and really all you have to do in this country is play by the rules, which means be fiscally sound and be calm.
Just looking at the lifestyle choices of the unwashed, the people going to hell.
Right. That's why they're poor.
That's why there's it's $50 a month. I'm saying really $50 a month for dating, $200 for booze, $50 for drugs, $120 for porno, $300 for child support, $300 for toys. So that's $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
My God, that's a house payment.
Right.
And that's
A
just
big
for
house.
you just
Yeah.
dealing with your vices. And a good Christian who doesn't do any of these things, they're saving $1,200 a month.
And I think
And
they're
they have a
smart.
house.
And I hope my daughter does all those, avoids all those expenses. I hope that she makes sound life decisions. Also, at least, also part of making a conservative choices is going into finance or law.
Yeah,
or,
true.
or
Choosing.
you
You would never go
business
into music or philosophy.
Yeah.
You would never be that idiotic.
That's ridiculous.
That's the reason why so many of my...
I've earned all the horror of... it's all been...
No wonder they want to save us.
Hard-won... Blech.
No wonder they want to save us because we're so screwed.
Yeah,
They look
I
at
wish
us
they
and
could save me.
They go,
Yeah.
Liberal, does drinks and,
Yeah,
and
they
all
have
this
a
sort
point.
of stuff.
They have a point. We kind of do need to be saved. But anyway, my sister's tried, and
She's tried.
I've had her pray. She prays over the phone
Wow.
that I will see what she can see,
Wow.
and I say, and I just don't get it. As somebody who's Eastern, I believe that Jesus was an incarnation of whatever, had Christ consciousness, whatever you want to put it.
Is it not true that we can have the Christ consciousness?
Well, that's what the East believes. Oh, that's another thing. If we still have time to talk about, is that there are really different ideas about God. It's not in the numbers that I had hoped. Okay, but still, and the one I know most about. Mostly, we're talking about the Vedantic tradition, which is an entirely different view about God than what we have in Abrahamic religions, which are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
Right.
The Vedantic religions, meaning that they have some association with the Vedas, the ancient scriptures that were written in Sanskrit that they have in India. And they include Buddhism and Hinduism. And I don't know that much about Buddhism, but I've been learning more and more about Hinduism, and I've been really impressed that it's not what we were told. Like we were told that it was a polytheistic religion with thousands of gods.
Right.
Well, there's some truth to that, but it's really not exactly the way it is. Hinduism has they have a very old tradition that is extremely serious philosophically, but it's sort of esoteric, like priest classes, do it and such, and the ordinary people don't get involved in the deeper metaphysics. So the ordinary people sort of just follow the exoteric practices that are given to them. But the exoteric practices have a deeper philosophical understanding behind them. And part of that is they use the word, say a Hindu comes to America, he'll use the word God. But he really is just using the closest approximate term that we have. But he doesn't mean what we picture at all.
Right.
Nothing like it.
So,
what he means is I'll explain how it relates to all those gods in Hinduism. He means a very sophisticated and refined philosophical idea, which is really in their tradition is generally by their greatest philosopher from the 8th century named Adi Shankara, what he called Brahman. Okay, and Brahman is the ground of all being. Okay, it's like the first cause that has no other cause. Okay. Like in other words, this table supervenes upon atoms, we're told, and atoms supervene upon matter and energy, and matter and natural laws. Okay, and now what do those natural laws and the matter and energy? What do they supervene upon? What is their cause?
Right.
Or another way to look at it is, if you want to imagine the Big Bang, whatever gases oozed out of the Big Bang or exploded out of it, they did by a set of natural laws.
correct.
Okay, where do those natural laws come from? Okay,
right.
So there has to be some kind of ground of being.
Right.
So, and they don't attempt to understand that or get a picture of it in their head. because they say that's ridiculous. This is something that would be completely precedent to anything conceptual. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be in time, it wouldn't be in space. So there's no way you can picture it. So how can you move toward it? So their belief is that you focus on God or Brahman. You can't focus on him directly because it's completely inconceivable, right? It's beyond imagination.
Right.
Anything you can imagine, it's going to be like, cups and saucers.
Yes.
So it's
Right.
ridiculous. So what do you do? So they say, pick an object that you really, really like from our mythology. You take a god that resonates for you. And this is true with the Greeks too, the Greek in our Greek mythology. And really focus on that and put all your love on that particular god from the stories that means something to you, that makes your heart feel love, and then you devote to it, and you basically, it doesn't matter what you focus on as long as the concentration is pure and heartfelt, that it all goes to God.
Gotcha.
So that the God is really not the thing. The little piece of stone and stuff, they don't think that's God or a God. It's merely a representation, something to focus their mind upon, purify their thoughts. And then there's more to it, but that kind of sums it up.
Well, my feelings are we should definitely spend more time searching this out, and we should ask our audience, what are your feelings about God? Is the Bible inerrant? Is Christ the only way? Are there other ways of going? I mean, I'm a Unitarian. There's only 800,000 of us, so we're definitely screwed, I guess. I don't know, it's a small group. And
well, there were once only a few Christians too.
Yeah, it's true. Now there's
12 or 13 of them.
Now there's
originally.
billions.
Yeah,
So there you have it. So what are your feelings? Why don't you email us at kabint@kabinthomas.com and let us continue on with this dialogue. If you want to be on Sidekicks and you want to express some of your opinions, if you think you could stand being with two unwashed heathens, come and be with us.
We'll even take showers.
Well, he will.
Okay.
I'm gonna stink the place up. So come and be with us. So anyway, this is Kabin Thomas. And that's Chris Ott. I'm Kabin. This is Chris.
All right.
And we're part of Sidekicks, and we want to thank our wonderful director,
Dave.
Yes.
And actually, I think it was Megan Ott may have directed.
Megan was rocking.
Yeah, no,
and
Megan
rolling.
Ott was the
She
director, and Dave
it, man.
supervised, and
Yes.
we'll throw those credits up,
Yes.
and then 'cause I can't remember Dave's last name.
Theme music by Mitch Glickman, wonderful composer.
Yeah.
You like
And
that
email
music?
us,
Cool.
and we'll talk to you soon.